So we were talking about AI now. There's lots of different conversations we go with this, but how do you see AI changing the landscape, and how are you using it in your business to help you? At least maybe let's talk maybe more about what you're doing maybe in your business with it. And then we could talk maybe about how you could see your clients utilizing AI. Or maybe I would imagine a lot of people are scared and I don't know. Some scared, some I think are super excited because they're realizing what you can do with it.
You can do with it. They're like, if anyone can see my face right now, if you're watching the video, I'm completely animated on this because I have so many thoughts. And I have to first say that what scares me is I don't know enough about the security and the policies and everything that comes behind it. I mean, we're feeding something a shit ton of information.
Mm-hmm.
It has my life in it. I'll be quite honest.
Okay, there we go.
But I just got to go with it because people say, oh, AI is going to take over the world. It's not going to replace people. It's going to replace the people that are not using it. As far as I'm concerned, right?
Yeah,
it's a
good
tool.
way to think about it.
It's a tool, just like everything else. It's a tool, and it's only going to work for the people that know how to use it. So I love it. And I love it because it is my brainstorming partner. It is my therapist. It is my...
Your therapist?
Oh, no joke.
Oh.
No joke. You can... because it's all about prompts. So if you do some searching on prompts, and because I put so much information, I've been using it for a year plus maybe.
And when you say using it, are you talking about ChatGPT?
Let's say, specifically ChatGPT is the first thing that I found that I understood. And I think I may have told you this originally too, when I found out about it. And I am late diagnosed ADHD, so neurodivergent, and sometimes can have a hard time articulating things, and was introduced to this and was able to brain dump into this and have it spit out what I was trying to say. And I cried. I absolutely cried. And we're talking well over a year ago. Maybe even more. I don't know now.
It's like, you get me. You get me, ChatGPT.
You said it. I'm like, this is phenomenal. And now I have it on my phone where I can have a conversation with it while I'm driving. And because it has so much of my information, I can ask it, well, what do you think about this? And what do you think? And it already has that information in there because it's been building on my life, right? So you can ask it prompts about, your personal life. You can ask it prompts about sales. You can ask it prompts about anything. It's only as good as you use it as a tool. And for me, it's a big brain dump. And it will help me then put everything together. Because that's, like I said, what I do. We're coming in, we're pulling out all of your things, we're dumping it out on the table, and then we're going to start organizing it. So when I get all these great ideas happening, I can dump them in there and go, okay, let's prioritize here based on what we know our goals are. It's huge for me. I could go on about AI all day. Now, I'm very cautious about what I put in for client information. Started using different names for the clients and stuff as I'm talking about them, because I don't really know exactly what information's going where and what. And
well, it's almost a certainty to at least assume that it's being stored somewhere, right? That you're feeding it data, and that's how it learns. It learns by gathering information, right? So I would just go with that assumption anyways.
Yeah. So I think that, and AI is a very general thing. So you're asking me about AI. I'm talking about ChatGPT. There's AI in everything. People are like, oh, I'm not using. Yes, you are. Open your Google right now. AI is going to be your first answer. Like and the difference, people don't even understand what the difference between Google and AI is. Google is bringing you up sites and where it's being written, whereas AI is answering your question based on all of these things, right?
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. People are like, oh, it's the same. It's like, it's not the same. The questions you're going to ask Google are going to be completely different, or should be completely different than the questions you're going to ask ChatGPT. Yeah.
And I think that I'm spoiled already. So I'm a big Google Workspace person. Microsoft girly, corporate girly for 20 years.
Yep.
I made the switch. I can still work in Microsoft, but I love Google Workspace. And they now have the Gemini. And they do transcriptions on your Google Meet. So I was already Zoom has already been doing this. They'll do a summary of your meeting. So Gemini will now do that. And last week I didn't hit the button in time. So I had to take the transcript and then go to ChatGPT and say, can you summarize this? And because the meeting was so long, it couldn't take all of my information at once. I had to do it in 2 different things.
Okay. So sorry, you were wanting to transcribe a meeting you had in Google Meets, like a video conference or what have you. And then there was a button that you pressed to say translate
to summarize.
Oh, to summarize.
So
right. That's
I got
different.
the transcription, but I didn't do the
I see.
summarize, which is a Gemini AI in Google now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you had to take the transcript into ChatGPT.
I had to manually do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is so frustrating.
You just got to get an AI tool to do that for you.
And Gemini's there. I just didn't hit the button, right?
Yeah.
And it was still doing it for me. So like I'm complaining on the call with 2 people yesterday. And then I'm like, wait, we could have had to read through this entire transcript of, 25 pages to figure out this information. I just had to copy and put it in.
Yeah, that's all you had to do. And yet it's still too much work.
It's still too much work.
Yeah, we are spoiled. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's funny. It's really cool what you can do with AI. And for me, I haven't even really scratched the surface. But there was one thing I was doing the other day. Actually, was yesterday, or maybe it was even this morning. I was having trouble coming up with a title for the podcast. I'm like, oh, this is actually really important. So I just give pieces of transcripts and here's this and that. I'm like, can you come up with some titles for me? And it shoots out like 10 banger titles. And I'm like, this is amazing. I would never have thought of it in like a million years. And what you're saying about how you can use it to brainstorm your business. Mike, who was on here a couple episodes ago, he was talking about how he uses it to just brainstorm ideas and just do market validation, do all kinds of just different thinking of seeing what's possible. It's just such an invaluable tool for people to use. And like you're saying, it is a tool. It's not like it's something that's going to replace everybody. Just like the internet is a tool. It's how you use it, right? So I think if what you said was bang on, if you're not going to be using AI in your business, you're just going to start to fall behind because the things that you can do with it has basically the information of the world. Why would you not want to use that?
Yeah.
Even if you're scared, doesn't matter. Get over it because it's here.
Well, and this is the thing. So one of the things I did recently for my business was to figure out how to pay myself. I went incorporated.
You did finally. Yes. Congratulations.
Yeah. We went incorporated. And so there's the whole, pay myself as an employee and dividends. And this is what accountants are for. By all means, 100%. And I have multiple accounting clients and I have a great accountant. However, their time to have this conversation with me, whereas I had it with ChatGPT and prompted it properly, like to get down into Canadian and Nova Scotia and all of the things, I now have a entire presentation to go to my accountant and say, hey, this is what I've found based on this, this, and this. Can you confirm for me that that is correct? And then they can give me that. And I played it out multiple ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is no threat to my accountant because now I'm going to be better with my money. They're going to be able to tell me different ways to invest it and do the things because I figured out how to pay myself in the best way possible, right? Yeah. So it's just leveling us up.
Yeah.
And it's going to allow them to really, and maybe they're going to look at it because I haven't presented it yet. Maybe they're going to look at it and they're going to go, oh, that's completely wrong. But at least I did the research and I understand it some more now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing. It's a tool, and I'm not saying it's replacing my account. I'm not going to just start paying myself that way because of what ChatGPT told me. But I played it out in many different scenarios, and now I have something and an understanding to go back to my accountant with.
Yep.
That's the difference for me for AI, and that's for anything in your business, right?
Yeah. So you're going to be dealing with a new client, and what are going to be, like we were talking about the things that the low-hanging fruit of what companies need to do, and you're saying lots about like making software kind of talk to each other and things. What are the things that you would do for a company to bring in AI slowly to introduce them into it? Could it be even, just maybe get them to use ChatGPT on a day-to-day basis to see what it can do? Or is there something more concrete that you'd like to do?
Yeah. So you can do, I guess, first of all, I would pay for a subscription. So that way they're using, like if you have a staff, they're using your company one so that you're building it up with your company
like
information.
It's learning from all the information you're feeding it. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever that is, whether you're in the Microsoft, whether you're in, ChatGPT, whatever you choose, I would do it as a company subscription so that you're building.
You yourself, you're happy to work with clients on any AI platform?
Yeah. Yeah. There's, because again, I don't know I'm not claiming to be an expert on it. I know how to prompt these things.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to use them to your advantage, but I also don't want to be telling you have to use this one because of security and whatever else. I don't know enough about that stuff. I don't think anybody knows enough about that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I do know that getting policies out in advance is important. There's some companies that didn't have a policy and they're quite large, and then
like internal companies having their policies of how their employees should use AI.
Exactly.
Okay. That's interesting.
So they actually had to pull it back and be like, nobody can use this right now, which is, you don't want to pull people back, right? This is innovative and this is helpful, but you don't want to just stop them. You want to have something in place. So
can you give me an example of what somebody has done that would make the company say, hey, we can't use this?
To be honest with you, so in this instance, it was a leader that really just didn't know what ChatGPT does at all, and got wind that it might not be secure and was like, ooh, no, nobody can use that.
Oh, so it wasn't even like someone recreated some deep fake of the company boss and posted that on social media? It wasn't anything like that?
It was nothing. They just realized that it could get out of hand very quickly. And I don't understand it, so I'm shutting it down.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Now, but based on knowing, don't, like I had with the accountants last week, putting client information in and stuff, you have to have rules around what you can and can't do for that, because you can upload entire documents, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that could be somebody's complete financials.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you okay with doing that? You got to have those rules in place. And then outside of that, because I have to preface with that, my fun stuff is get a company subscription where everybody's building and the information is all building together, and then create prompts. So this transcript thing from after a meeting, having a meeting, I like taking that transcript and after different specific calls, so like a discovery call, I want it to spit out specific things from that client. I want it to highlight goals and challenges and what I've promised and maybe some of their verbiage, so that I clearly, when I talk to them next time, go, okay, this is exactly what they said they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I've created prompts that now, after everybody has a discovery call, they're to record it, then they're to use that transcript and use this prompt to get out of it. Same thing with our blog writing. I have a blog prompts. So I go in and I say, this is what I want to talk about today, and here's the prompt, help me lay it out.
Yeah.
So that I'm being consistent. And it's a huge time saver, right?
It's helping you write helpful and relevant articles to your potential customers and clients.
So in reality, when we talk about standardized processes, which is, the backbone of what I do, same thing for AI, giving it prompts so that it's coming out and using the same kind of language and giving you the same ideas and from the same perspective. Because when you ask it a question, if you're not specific about like, I want you to act like a lawyer, or I want you to act like a salesperson, or I want you to pretend you're in Alberta or in the States or wherever the case may be, if you are not specific on those things, you could spend forever with AI.
Yeah.
You need to narrow it down. So you're going to help your team by having a communal subscription, because then they're all building on it together. You're going to feed it all kinds of stuff right off the bat, your missions, your values. You're like, this is all the things. And then here's the prompts I want my team to be using.
Yeah. So it's really important, I think, for individuals to learn how to make specific prompts, right? Because you're saying you can ask it to like, give me this feedback as if you were based in Texas or if you're based in this. So I guess it's really important, to really figure out how to be a good like AI user almost. It's almost like a thing on its own, right? Learning how to use it correctly.
And there are all kinds out there. So again, I'm not an accounting professional, but I understand that Blue Jay is massive for accounting professionals.
Okay. And Blue Jay is another AI tool?
It's an AI tool, and it is made for accountants and taxes and all of the things. So knowing that if whatever profession you're in, there's likely something that's specific to you. There's also AI out there that and I have lists of these platforms, but if you're doing presentations often, you can practice your presentation in front of it and it's going to give you feedback.
Like it'll see the video and
It'll see
everything.
the
That's
yeah,
crazy.
right. So there are different applications for what you're doing, and it is good to find the one that fits your profession for sure. Again, I keep going back to Blue Jay because one accounting client that I have talked about it, and I shared it with the other accounting clients that I have, and they've all like
Just jumped right on board.
Full gung ho with it. It's been life changing for them. So knowing that there's platforms out there besides your generic, and same thing, I work with Digital Maturity Group. We have like branding. It's built in. So that's what we're using on the background. I have a system where I have prompts, and I've created an ops one with them using a back-end AI that will hopefully give a report of what I'm looking for at the end of the day.
Oh my goodness.
I've built that based on the questions that I've asked my clients and the outcomes that I want, to then go to the next step. So this is a discovery phase, right?
Yeah.
And having solutions. So getting tailored, if you don't want to get into understanding prompts and all of the things, there are tailored solutions out there. You're going to pay for them, but there are tailored solutions. Yeah. So depending on how your brain works, you may not want to get into, how to prompt things. You may just want to find that solution tailored software that's going to work for you too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's lots of different routes that you can take if someone who's new that wants to incorporate AI into the business. But of course, for you, you say yes. Jump on the AI. Okay. Don't get left behind. Right?
If you do not, you are going to be left behind. And it's, like I said, as simple as just when you're going into your Google and your phone and knowing what the difference between an AI answer is. You're seeing it everywhere. Every time, like you open up Facebook and Meta, and it's AI is at the top of it now versus like a search,
it
right?
Spits out, because you type in a question, I see it. Yeah, it starts. You see it's auto-generating stuff, and then it has like the search results.
And to start, all you have to do is you got a question, open ChatGPT.
Instead of, because usually in Google, you're like, it might be, how do I, I'm trying to think of something in a business. Like, how do I file my T2 tax return Canada or something like that. But then you go in ChatGPT, you say, I'm this business, this is how much money I made, and I have to fill out this form. Where do I get this? Or like, how do I structure my tax to be able to have whatever? And then it gives you like the step-by-step guide. So it's like a completely different way to think about it.
And you can build on it. So you've asked it that question. It's giving you something. You go, oh, but. And you can't do that in Google, right? You can't go, but. Yeah. You can change your question. It's not going to build on it.
You just have to do a different search.
You're going to do a different search.
Take you to like another article on some other website, which like that has nothing to do with what I was looking at now. And it's just.
And people say, oh, well, that's AI generated. Okay. Nothing I do has one prompt. I'm in there and I'm going, okay, but change this, but how about this? And that's the difference, right? If I just said, hey, make me a blog about being on a podcast, and I left it, okay.
And you just cut and paste, and then that's
ridiculous, right? Like, and there are people doing that.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that think that if it's AI, it just means that you just let the AI do all the work and you did absolutely nothing. It's like, no, it's actually, like you said, it's a brainstorming tool, and it's something that can bounce ideas back and forth. It's almost like having a proofreader, but someone that works basically infinitely fast, because you could just do it right then and you bounce ideas, and it just makes your work so much easier.
It's so funny that you said that. So Beth's going to hate when she hears this. But due to my ADHD and some of the challenges that I have, if I work really hard on a proposal and say it's, due the next morning, so I'm working on it until 10 o'clock at night, there are things that will come up that I'm going to miss, and I can read it 10 times and I'm still going to miss that in the proofreading, right? So
especially if you're tired
and you're working, right? So I always put everything through Beth before it goes out, because it's one of my most significant challenges. However, you can upload the entire document into ChatGPT and be like, please proofread this for me and check for grammatical, spelling, and formatting errors.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it's going to come back and tell you, and it will even make those changes for you. Again, I still wanted to go over to Beth, but in the pinch of a minute it will say, it will point out that very glaring mistake. Yep. That one glaring mistake that I should have caught the 10 times I read it and I didn't. Yep. So it's huge. There's nothing it can't do.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't have feelings or anything, at least that we know of. Not yet, I guess. I shouldn't say that, eh?
I talk to it very nicely, and Scott will make fun of me all the time. He's like,
You know what? That's so funny you said that, because even for me, I still say, hey, could you please do this? And I'm like, and it spits out something. I'm like, thank you. I'm like, maybe if they do become Terminators, maybe they'll recognize that I was nice to them. And I'm not those bad humans that you want to get rid of. I'm the nice guy. I say please and thank you whenever I ask.
Well, it's learning from you, right? Like,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, if I'm interacting with whatever this is, I want it to know that the responses I want would come with the
Yeah.
being nice and polite.
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
know.
Yeah. It's really interesting to think about at what point something becomes more than just ones and zeros and just a computer. Then it's actually like, what is it they say? Like self-aware, right? That it actually knows that it's a thing, and that it actually actively, almost is independent of its programming or whatever. It's really fascinating to think of, because I mean, us humans, we have a brain. At the same time, we're not ones and zeros, but our neurons are just on and off, right? So it's almost the same thing. And it's like, I don't know, it gets into the whole philosophy of what is life and all that kind of stuff. But it's really interesting that we're actually on the cusp of wrestling with these things, and how do we deal with that as a society? I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I kind of put my head in the sand when it reaches that far, and I just have fun with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I love AI.
Yeah. It's so much fun. Yeah, you just have so much fun with it. So that's amazing. So yeah, I think we've given people lots of actionable insights into what they could do with AI. So yeah, if you're not on AI right now in your business, just go ahead and get started. So for me, maybe you can give me a little bit of a tip here, because I don't use AI very much in my business. So, and I'm just starting this podcast now. Could you see a way that I could use AI? Well, I guess I told you that I help it maybe get me like titles, but are there any ways that you can see that I could use AI to help me in my podcast? And maybe, I don't know, just whatever you can think of in terms of maybe coming up with ideas or getting guests or like distributing it. Like, I don't even know. Like, what are the possibilities that I can
Asking
use?
every question you just did into ChatGPT.
So take what you just said now and put it in and see what it says.
No
Okay.
joke. Like,
That's like a meta thing, but okay, yeah, let's.
You literally just ask it all the questions, and when you get the answer you want, like when it's coming up, realize that that's your prompt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, be like, okay, I got it down to this far because I prompted it with these, and then set that prompt. Like,
Right.
that's your, so again, I mean, it could be taking the transcript from this and figuring out what the highlights are and how to promote it and what parts are going to resonate, what parts you should cut out. You can ask it all of these things, but in order for it to know how you should edit it, you have to tell it what you want it to look like at the end of the day.
Right. And I have to tell it like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do with the podcast. This is the audience I'm trying to reach, and just provide as much information as possible so that it could take that, have that frame of reference, I guess, to make those decisions.
Because it's always going to have an answer. But if you say, how do I sell this? But you don't tell it who you're selling it to.
Yeah.
It's not going to give you the right answer. Right? So that's the key is making sure you give it what you're, and so as an entrepreneur, sometimes we don't know the answer to those, right?
No, all entrepreneurs, we have answers for everything, don't we?
But that's the key. You have to start with your vision, your mission, your purpose. And I found something really cool the other day. So Simon, and I can't think of his last name, great businessman, but basically we were going through our mission and vision statements for one of the courses that I was doing. And I have mine. They're on my website. They're there. I've gone over them 10,000 times with 10 different people. You know, they can always be, but you always want to refer back to them. And he had used Simon in a YouTube video to show something. And I went, can you take these and act as if you were Simon and redo them for me? And like whatever his last name is, which I'm doing at a disservice right now.
Yeah.
Came back and I was like, oh, yeah.
It was like exactly what you wanted.
That's exactly what I want. Right. So even if if there's somebody that you love watching or someone that articulates in the way that you want or has a thought process that you like, be like, hey, can you read this as if you were that person and rewrite it? Like that alone is a very easy prompt. Right.
Yeah.
And again, you can go over these things over and over again, and don't get frustrated with it, because the more you use it, the better it's going to be.
Yeah. And the better you're going to get at it.
And the better you're going to get at it. Yeah. But yeah, that's my thing. Like you just have to start in one place and just keep going with it. So give it all that information, start with it, be like, this is my podcast, and then start asking what you want it and just keep asking it questions.